Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well so far in 2021. Welcome to our new podcast called The Word. We have a super special guest on today, a girl I never get tired of talking to. Check it out. Okay, we have Stephanie Pavao on the podcast today. Welcome, Steph.
Hi, Avery. How's it going?
Good. How you doing? How's your day going?
Great. My day's been good. Pretty busy, but it's been great.
Yeah, that's good. So thank you so much for being our first ever guest on the Word podcast. There are so many directions that I'm hoping to take this new project, and having a podcast is definitely on the top of my list. So anyways, just a little intro about what this podcast series is about. My main hope is to simply inspire people in any way that makes sense for them. I hope to be a light for their day, maybe their first laugh or smile, and I really just want to inspire everybody. So thank you for being a part of that. You're definitely someone who inspires me every day.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Avery. It's an honor to be your first guest. And I think, with that idea of inspiration, you've already inspired me with getting to watch you from being my disco faith participant to the girl you are now, woman you are now. It's amazing. I love getting to watch it.
Thank you so much. That means so much. So let's just get right into it.
Cool.
The first thing I'm going to ask you is the question we're going to ask everyone, which is, what is your favorite word in the whole wide world?
Yeah. So when you first asked me this question, I was like, wow, that's a big kind of thing to approach. But I love it. I think it's great. It's a really original question.
Yeah.
So I thought about it for a bit, and actually my favorite word in the whole wide world is actually the word come. Like, when you're saying come here or just come to this place.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it, and I was like, why was this the word that popped into my head? But it's actually had a pretty big kind of significance in my life at every kind of stage. I was thinking about it, and come has this idea of a nurturingness to me.
Ooh.
Come is something that, I imagine my mom and my dad, semi yelling at me saying, come here, take your first steps, come to me. And it's also a time when, if my mom could tell that I was just, I don't know, not doing the best, she just knew, and she welcomed me arms open wide and said, come.
That's great.
It was coming to that peaceful place. And the same thing happened with Aaron. He just happened to pick it up without even knowing if he sensed something was up, and I needed some consolation, arms wide open, and that same word, come.
Absolutely.
And even in joyful moments too, which I found so amazing. And then that just kind of brought me full circle to realize that, that's what God says to me every day, and every joyful moment, every sad or worrisome moment, his arms are outstretched so wide and saying, come to me, take your rest and solace in me. And I was a little uneasy about that at first, but nowadays I love it, and I run to his arms.
Totally.
And, it's been a really great word for that.
Yeah, I really like that, because it's such a simple word that we hear all the time, right? And we might not really think twice about it, but it means to move or travel towards something familiar or near. And
exactly,
in the sense of our faith, we have an unknown world, but a known God. So if we're always moving towards him, then we should have comfort. Is this a comforting word for you, or do you see it more as one that challenges you?
Amen to what you just said before. I love that. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I think it's a little bit of both. Like I said, it has that nurturing aspect, but then another side of things is I've heard God use that word to call me to do his will. And sometimes I'm like, God, I don't know about that today. But you know what? Through a couple of experiences, that idea of come to do my will, come, to take action. I've been more inspired by it lately. It instills a little less fear in me, but still that good excitement with that, kind of good mix of fear.
Totally. Yeah, I like to ask this question mostly because I'm curious, but often words are the most inspiring thing we have in our lives, and sometimes we forget how much weight they can carry. Like we wake up
100%.
every day and we choose how we're going to use our words. So definitely using them to lift us up is an inspiration. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course, Avery. Great question.
Yeah. So I mainly started this podcast and this whole project in general because my word this year is seek or seeking. And
Yes.
God really spoke to my heart and told me to start a creative project in his name, which probably most people don't have an urge to do. But I really just want to have an inspiring platform that talks about my faith and how God allows us to step into things that are unknown. And I was reading my daily devotional the other day, and it was talking about the unknown and how it's okay to have an unknown with God because he is known. And that's all that matters, which is putting our trust completely in him. And that can be so hard to do, right?
Yeah.
Especially when there's things that can happen, like this pandemic, that cause us to kind of freak out in this unknownness.
For sure.
If that's even a word.
I think so.
Yeah, let's make it a word. So I know your favorite Bible verse.
Yes.
But these lovely people don't. So would you mind sharing what that is and how it's carried throughout your life?
Of course. So, my favorite Bible verse, you can't see it, but it's tattooed on my right arm.
Yes.
It is Jeremiah 29:11, which says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." And can I tell you that Bible verse has come in handy a lot.
Oh, yes.
The kind of first time it kind of came up to me was in a book about Bethany Hamilton. I don't know if any of you guys know the surfer, also known as the Soul Surfer.
Yeah.
She has this great book, and she just mentioned that verse, and it just popped out to me, and then everywhere I turned, it was coming about, and I was like, "Hey, God, I get your message."
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely seen you live it out and you explaining that to me the first time. And again, it's been like, yeah, this is definitely who you are and part of you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Of course. And I think, that key word of unknown that you mentioned before, like trusting God in the unknown. Yeah. I've seen you do it. I've seen so many other people do it. And it's that leap of faith.
Yeah.
It's that I see nothing, but we are going to go anyways, and we're going to trust you, Lord. And
absolutely.
You know what? This is a great verse for anybody out there to repeat to yourself if you're ever in that spot.
Absolutely.
Some good encouragement.
For sure. So just for a little background on our relationship, I guess.
Yes.
Steph was my very first faith study leader here at the University of Guelph. And she led the study that sparked me to put God at the center of my life. And the way that you led that study was the most incredible. You brought the joy, the laughter, the timbits, and you definitely brought the heart. So my question for you is, how did you feel leading these women through those studies to the heart of God? Because that must have felt incredible.
Yeah, honestly, it was a big responsibility, but a big responsibility. I was just overjoyed to be chosen to have taken. I remember our faith study coordinator coming up to me like, "Hey, Steph, do you want to lead a discovery?" Because I had just finished discovery the semester before, and something in me just evoked such a deep yes, and I was like, "For sure, like let's do this." And going into it, I was like, "This is a task. This is a responsibility I have. I'm responsible for these women and bringing them closer to God." So I was excited to share my experiences, what I had gone through, and to hopefully inspire those women that we kind of encountered, you and all the other girls that we had the study with. And I think you hit it on with saying, like, you enjoyed it. There was the excitement, there was the heart, there was the laugh, the timbits.
Exactly.
That was my goal. I just wanted it to be a place for the women in our group to come, to sit, to know this is like, sisters hanging out in their bedroom, talking about their day, talking about life. And I just wanted it to be something that wasn't, we're just going to go through these chapters, learn a little bit, and hope you come closer to God, pray. I wanted it to be like an experience. That's why, I changed it up. We went outside one day because I was like, this is what inspires me. I hope it's something similar to what can inspire you. And I think, just really quickly to add on to that, the most important thing I learned about leading women in faith study is walking alongside of them. It's such a big part of it. And God really put me to that example of walking alongside you guys when the second faith study source came along.
Yeah.
And I was encouraging you guys to take it, but I had also not taken it myself. So
right.
I was
think we took it together.
Yeah, and we took it together. And like that was a big turning point for me because I think it's such a huge thing as a leader to number one, be able to, you know, lead people to the faith.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to allow yourself and to allow those that you are leading to see that you also can be led.
Yes.
It was like a great kind of change of perspective for me walking into that room and sitting in the same seats as you guys and being led by our source faith study leader Morgan, and it was great.
Wow, that's so cool that you say that, and you definitely accomplished that comfortable atmosphere. That I always look forward to going every week.
Great.
I actually led the same study a year later with my own group of girls, and we had so much fun.
Good.
Just seeing them grow in the faith was insane. There's really nothing like it.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
One of the girls was actually a very close friend of mine of many years back, and I asked her kind of last minute, and I kept hemming and hawing over it, but I'm so glad I did, and that she said yes. I was a little scared to ask someone close to me to become part of this journey of faith through the faith study. Just the fear of them saying no and having to take no for an answer. But
of course,
I learned that you really have nothing to lose by simply asking someone, and you literally have everything to gain by their yes.
Yeah,
and
amen.
So something I heard, I forget where it was from, probably another podcast, but they said, true freedom is giving people permission to misunderstand you. Offense is taken, not given.
Dang.
So I know, it's so good.
Offense is taken, not given.
Yeah, totally different perspective.
Yeah,
and another question kind of to add on to that is, what would you say to someone who's having a hard time putting themselves out there specifically in the faith?
Yeah, I think you transitioned it perfectly for me, really.
That's awesome.
From that question of, you know, it's that idea of courage. Like you went through that same situation of having to put yourself out there and ask one of your close friends to participate in this faith study. And it's a nerve-wracking thing. It's something that a couple of us have to go through, whether it's, you know, asking your friend to participate in a faith study, whether it's, you know, proclaiming something that the Holy Spirit leads you to, or whether it's, you know, God's calling you like, hey, this friend needs you to just say hi to them, just to smile at them. And you are not in the mood, but he is calling you to do it. And you just got to go up there and do it. My best advice for just anything, kind of specifically faith-based, putting yourself out there, actually comes from one of my favorite movies. If you don't know me, I live a lot of my life based on movies. Yeah. So this makes a lot of sense. But there's this one quote I heard in the movie, and it has stuck with me throughout like the rest of my life from seeing that. And I've actually been able to put it into work. So the movie is We Bought a Zoo. It's with Matt Damon. If you guys have seen it, you'll kind of get where I'm coming from.
Love that one.
But so good. He has this quote about kind of like courage, how he's building up the courage to step up and talk to the girl who eventually becomes his wife. So he's explaining this to his kids. But what he says is, all you need is 20 seconds of courage. And for me, I even shortened it. I was like, all you need is 3 seconds of courage. Yeah. That is it. 1, 2, 3, go.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's situational, but just that idea, you just need that couple of seconds of courage to do whatever is, you know, weighing on your heart. I remember having an example. I was in the Newman Center, our chaplaincy at Guelph, and one of our friends, it was two of us in the chapel, she was just sitting on the other side, and I was on the other side. I was finishing my prayer, and I was just going to get up and leave, but something in me, like the Holy Spirit was just calling me, like, you know, talk to her, like she needs you to talk to her. I was like, God, I don't really want to, you know, food's almost ready out there. But this saying came to my head, and I was just like, okay, 1, 2, 3, got up and just sat there. And the second you're there, it's like, you can't go back.
Yeah.
And I started talking, and she really needed someone to talk to. And it was so fruitful for her and for me. So, like you said, you have nothing to lose really when kind of just taking that step out, taking that leap. I've taken a couple leaps in my life, and I can definitely tell you it is so worth it.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's definitely a journey, but such a fulfilling one.
For
And
sure.
college students, I think, are the most important people when it comes to changing the world with faith. They
Amen.
are the
Yeah.
young adults. They're choosing the trajectory of their lives.
Yeah.
They're in this critical time in their lives, kind of forming their friend groups, deciding their future career, and often a time where the faith they once had isn't as important to them.
Yeah.
So making the faith cool is something I aim to do.
100%. You're doing a great job,
Thank
girl.
you. But we
You're
really have
welcome.
to look deeper into ourselves and ask some hard questions, right? I went into first year and I continued going to church because it was normal for me and kind of a sense of comfort. It was, in a sense, still my parents' faith that caused me to go.
Yeah.
But there comes a time when you have to kind of sit yourself down and say, okay, what matters to me? What am I going to continue putting my energy into, my all into?
Yeah.
And choosing to center your life around God is such a life-changing thing.
It is.
Can we just talk about discovery for a sec?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so we talk about how God can be such a part of your life, right?
Yeah.
You have your friends, your family, your school, sports, God, homework. But if you put God into all of those things, your life changes. The people you surround yourself with starts to change, and the purpose of your life changes, and it's really fulfilling. So I've been a part of a friend group where I've had to separate myself from them because who I was with them wasn't who I truly was.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So
it's a decision you kind of have to make, girl, and I completely resonate with you. That same decision is something I went through, and it's a tough one, but you just kind of go where God calls you to, and it's a part of it. That's a new part of you, and putting God at the center is just a game changer.
Totally. All right, so just kind of switching gears a little bit. You are all done with school, having graduated last year with a degree in wildlife biology conservation and a minor in French. So congrats again. Such an accomplishment.
Thank you.
So do you have any big post-grad projects or goals for this new chapter?
Yeah. Well, I would say main goal right now is getting a job.
Oh, for sure.
That is, just the typical kind of thing afterwards. And I think that's what I went into being my post-grad kind of project or goal. But actually being in it and living through it now, it's not the case. God had, of course, other plans for me.
Totally.
Making me graduate in the middle of a pandemic and, pretty difficult to get a job now. But he's just changed my perspective on so much. And you know what? My big post-grad project was like getting to know myself more. I just, had gotten to spend some time with myself during university, but there's just so much going on. Sometimes it just slips away, and, God just called me to like take this summer for myself, build myself up, get to know myself more. Here's me thinking I knew myself, clearly not. But yeah, it was just a great kind of self-discovery session. And aside from that, on I guess the more tactical level kind of thing or practical level, I've been attempting to learn ukulele. So
whoa, girl.
I'm trying to improve those musical side of things.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's
I figured a good place to start is a ukulele. So.
Oh, that's so good. We can jam together.
Yeah, I'd love to.
That's incredible. And yeah, on the topic of like kind of having that call, something I've definitely seen play out in my own life is that God gives us faith even when it isn't convenient for us.
Yeah.
And that took me a while to grasp. But basically it means that our lives as Christians aren't supposed to look like everyone else's. And for example, my faith came strong, just getting real here, and told me I needed to break up with my boyfriend at the time. But to me, it wasn't a convenient stroke of faith. I didn't really want to, but I knew it was the right thing. Yeah. And it kind of grounds you and sets you back on track. Oh, yeah. But we have these standards and comparisons that are often worldly comparisons. We see people on TV, and we have to know that we weren't made for this world. And I just thought I'd share that. I remembered it.
Thanks for that. Like, such a beautiful thing. And, I think it takes such great conviction to do something like that. It ain't easy, girl, but, it's a beautiful thing that you kind of saw and were able to take that action and have seen the fruit from it as well. I know a big turning point for me too was, I don't know if any of you guys know Emily Wilson. Yeah, so I was I was listening to one of her videos or one of her Instagram posts one day, I think, and she mentioned this idea that, like, you know, the typical Christian woman does not fit in a box. There is no box that says this is what a Christian woman is. And like, I just, that blew my mind away because I figured I was trying to fit into this box and I was like, nothing is working. What do I do?
Totally.
And, you know, just like you said, it's not something specific. Sure, the world may have this perspective of what the typical Christian woman looks like, but once you're in it, you know that, you know, that's not the case. Each Christian is their own developed, unique, beautiful self that God created, and with unique things, and it's a great realization.
I love that. Yeah. And just kind of digging a little deeper here.
Yeah.
You and your fiance, Aaron.
Yes.
I love you guys. You're both so amazing. So your relationship is centered around God. And I look to both of you for inspiration, along with my parents, of course, of what a solid, God-centered relationship looks like. Because that's what I aspire to have one day. And right now, Steph, I am content with my singleness, which took me a while to get here. But after reading Michael Todd's book called Relationship Goals, I learned just how important it is to know yourself in your singleness with God before 100%. You can ever share that with someone else.
Yeah, 100%.
So my question for you is something I know you'll have an amazing answer for. What advice would you give yourself as a single Steph a few years back?
Yeah. I love that idea of a single Steph. It's just so funny. I think my advice would be, you know, honestly, almost exactly what you kind of said about based on that book, along with a couple other things, which I'll touch on. But, you know, knowing yourself with God, knowing yourself before getting into a relationship. I remember actually the week Aaron and I met, we met at this camp. It was a camp for kids kind of up to about elementary school age. You know, they'd come, they'd have some like fun games, do some cool scripture reading and stuff. But we met there, and this one couple who both Aaron and I know were giving a talk, and one of them mentioned how, like, you know, for sure, like, I choose God, and his fiance then was named Sam, was like, I choose God over Sam any day. And I was like, what? Like, seriously?
Yeah.
And it was a shaker, and it really made me kind of take a quick check in, and it was some great growth at that time. And, you know, I think I learned a lot about that, about myself with God before being with Aaron and during our relationship as well too. Yeah. But another thing that I think I would remind single Steph to do, and I guess just continue doing, because I did this sometimes, maybe not as often as I should. I listened to this other podcast, and she mentioned this idea of date yourself. And it's literally just taking yourself out for coffee, going to your favorite cafe or tea or wherever you feel most comfortable, and just sitting and like catching up with yourself, being like, okay, how was this week? What am I struggling with? What am I not struggling with?
I love that.
Yeah, it was something that, like, I was just like, man, I need to continue that. And I have kind of been able to do that in Guelph, but now with the pandemic, I can't really go to my coffee shop. So,
True.
But that idea of date yourself, I think it's so important, because you get to know yourself better. So when that other amazing God-given person comes along, it's just like, you know, you know yourself, you know how you are, but you also know how to check in with yourself. So that, you know, when you are in that relationship, you could see how you're growing now with this person as well, and how you're doing as well. Because that mentality of checking in on yourself and just understanding that, it was so important, and is still important for me too. It is one of the great reasons why Aaron and I's communication works so well. It's just that understanding ourselves, where we're at, and, you know, when some things are off or when some things are great, kind of thing. So date yourself, ladies. Wow. I stole that, I think, from the podcast.
That's okay. Wow, I love that. And I know most of my listeners are probably college-age people. who might have it all together and maybe not, and that's totally okay. But seeing you and Aaron just makes me so happy and so hopeful for what God will bless me with down the road, if that is the plan.
Yes.
So much to talk about here.
I know.
Okay, lighten it up here.
Yes.
What are you doing for fun these days?
Yeah, I am actually tackling some good hikes.
Wow, love that.
Yeah, I have always been a big hiker. My mom and I have gone on hikes since I was little, and then I had gone on hikes with my friends, and Aaron loved hiking as well too. So we've just been hitting up some good spots. But another thing that I guess is more easy to do in the summertime is we have a goal of hitting up as many Ontario provincial parks as we can.
Ooh, I like that.
We've had a good amount so far. It's counted as either camping or like hiking there. So that's been great. Just discovering Ontario's beautiful landscape and, getting outside, getting in nature and getting that physical activity. And Aaron and I are actually heading up to Arrowhead soon to try out that like skating trail. So that'll be fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was actually listening to another podcast earlier this week, and they were talking about something I've never really thought of before, which is rating fun, which is kind of weird, right? Like judging how much fun something is compared to something else. And they were saying that we see these big celebrities taking these extravagant trips. So that's kind of what we start to define as fun. And what we're doing is not as great or as expensive. But the little things that bring us joy are so priceless, wouldn't you say? Yeah,
definitely.
So quick story time here. I remember when I was like 14 years old and I was determined and passionate about making these scarves. And looking back, they were kind of ugly. And this is where my flair for business kind of started without me really knowing, because it was something I was just passionate about and didn't really think of as work. I rented out a booth at a local craft hall. Yeah, I was like 14, near my house. Great. And one Saturday morning, I took my 20 scarves and my mannequin head down to our $10 table, and we had a blast. Like, I remember one lady actually asked for my business card, and I was like, whoa. Seriously? But I definitely lost money in that endeavor, but it was so worth it.
You know what? It's the experience that counts, girl. The experience.
Yes. So funny.
That is so great. It's those little sparks that sometimes just ignite that fire, which is cool. And I love that that's, your kind of start for the business world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm loving it right now. So we have a little fun way to end this off. This podcast is called The Word. And we talk about regular old words. And we also talk about the Word of God, which is the Bible. So we have one word and one verse we'll discuss to wrap this up today.
Great.
Okay, so I'll give you the word and kind of just tell me what it makes you think about.
Okay.
The word is tranquility.
Ooh.
Take a minute.
Okay. Yeah. Just the word tranquility is bringing peace to my whole body right now. I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's a powerful word. I think it's a word that a lot of people need to get more accustomed to.
Yes.
I am going to say, I am definitely a spa girl. I don't know if you all have been up to Scandinav Spa in Blue Mountains. It's just that idea of relaxing. And I think that's actually the first thing that comes to my mind with tranquility, that peace of, when we're there's this one spot where you can just go out, sit on this little porch, and there's this cute little pond, and you just look out and you're chilling, and it's nice. It's like the most tranquil spot I could think of. It's so quiet, and just tranquility is a necessity for me, I think.
Absolutely. I kind of looked it up, and I was digging into what it means, and it's a state of being calm. So it's the state, like the atmosphere of calmness, which I love, because it makes me think of this world, which often isn't calm and tranquil, but we can create a space for ourselves, even in our hearts, of tranquility, which is what we need.
Yeah, such a good kind of perspective of that state of tranquility, that it's that state of calm. Is great. Yeah, you're so right on that, girl. We all need that little bit of state of tranquility.
Absolutely. Yes. All right. So the verse we have for this week is from Luke chapter 6, verse 44 to 45.
Okay.
All right. So I'll read it out here. A tree is identified by its fruit. A good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart. What you say flows from what is in your heart.
Yeah. Dang.
Love this one.
Same. So much truth in that, especially
Yeah.
that last line, like what you say flows from what is in your heart.
Exactly.
I'm a biology person, so I'm just imagining like the heart actually pumping blood
Yeah.
to all kind of parts of that body, and you know that flow of blood. Like the heart is literally the center. I know that idea of a good person, that it's like a good personality, you have a good heart, and like with that good heart, that resting in God with that, and you know having God as that center spot, having God, you know, have your heart, allows for that goodness to flow like everywhere else throughout your body, and just kind of emanate and have that that goodness kind of flow and be seen by everyone in that good personality. I mean, just like it says, a tree is identified by its fruit. You wouldn't call a tree that grows apples an orange tree. So, you know, a person who is good, because they're good, they're recognized as like a good person. And you know, it's that base, it's that grounding. And I think with Jesus as that grounding, that fruit is gonna definitely produce that goodness.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it was super fitting based on the nature of the podcast, which is like using your words to inspire and uplift people. And they're so monumental in someone's day, like what you say to them. So just knowing that you can change what you say and what flows from you can really be impactful. So thanks for your input there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the words you've kind of chosen for this, and you know, the words you're choosing to share with everyone, it's just such an inspiring thing and such a big impact. So
thank you. Well said. This has been so much fun, and it was great to catch up. We could definitely talk for hours.
Yes, for sure. I know.
Well, thank you again for being on, and we will chat soon.
Yes, of course. Thanks, Avery.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Yay!
Oh my God.